Hey everyone, man do I have a hunter build for you today. Now the opening section here in the training grounds that I want to show you is what the prime of the build looks like. Essentially if you play the build long enough and the playstyle that I would want to play it in, right? So the opening clip here is me working my way just down the training ground, and that's what the build should look like for you. You're leaving a ton of Threaded Spectre clones in your wake to aggro all the enemies shooting at it. You're going in and out of invis often. I wasn't even including, throwing my shurikens or using my grenade or even our prismatic form. So there's so much more you could be doing with this than what I just showed, and you'll see it in harder content later on in the gameplay when I'm combining everything, right? You're creating orbs of power that you're picking up. You're gaining yourself ×5 frost armor. Like, there's just so much going on with the build, so I'm gonna try my best to work my way through it. But the first most important thing is the damage stacking we get for our weapons. That's included in our arc weapons and our stasis weapons, because we do want to kill things in harder content because it makes the build flow better. But even if we don't kill things, that's okay, because we do get our dodge back in 10 seconds, even if you do not get a kill. Pretty simple to do this. First off, we have our artifact. Down in the bottom right, you have the new gear bonuses. As you can see in the energy slot weapon damage, I have a plus 10%. That means my Graviton Spike is hitting 10% harder off the bat. That's because it's a seasonal weapon, and I guess this is considered just tier 5 instantly because it's an exotic, I'm assuming. So this now hits 10% harder. If you come over here to my weapon stat, I have a 15% increase in damage to miners and major combatants. And then down below, as the enhanced benefit for my primary and special damage, I have a 5% increase in PvE. So now we have another 20% here just from this weapon stat. So 20% from the weapon stat, 10% from the artifact. Now, if you're wondering if you can hit 100 in this stat, yes, you can. It's very simple. On your ghost mod, just put on the specialist armor, okay? Put on this mod. Likely increases the armor drop chance of this archetype, which has class as its primary stat and weapons as its secondary stat. Very simple. All you see on my gear here, this is a tier 1 cloak. This is a tier 2 boots, so a little bit better. A tier 1 chest piece and a tier 1 gauntlets. These aren't special pieces of gear. They're not tier 4 or tier 5, right? Probably could get this very easily if you just slot this ghost mod in. And it's going to come with class ability and weapons, class ability weapons, class ability weapons, class ability weapons. But it's very easy for you to get this armor pieces and very easy for you to get that extra 20% damage bonus, right? Even if you get to just 100, you're getting 15%. But we're getting 20% from our weapons. We also add in 2 Arc Surge mods. And as you can see in the gameplay that I showed you, you're always getting those armor charges because you're scooping them up every time you dodge, and we're dodging so freaking often. That's another 17% damage boost with those 2 arc surges. That benefits both our Graviton Spike and whatever arc heavy you're running. Let's say you wanted to take advantage of the stasis version of this and put a stasis heavy, just switch these 2 to stasis, right? And you're still getting the bonus damage from the artifact and from the weapons. So now we're up to, what is this? 20%, 10%, so 30 plus this 47. We're up to 47% weapon damage bonus. And then we add in Bacchus, the Mask of Bacchus. We get a 30% weapon damage bonus to arc and stasis weapons. This could also be Lord of Wolves, I believe, as well, if you do want to run Lord of Wolves. I just really like the new hand cannon. I think it's fun. It's super cool to see. And I think the playstyle of switching back and forth between arc and stasis is really, really cool. Plus, we get extra benefits for using stasis from our Prismatic subclass. Anyways, 30% damage from Mask of Bacchus now. If you add that up, right, 30% from here, another 20% from here, so that's 50, 10% from here is 60, another 17% here is 77. And I could make this go further, right? I could up my weapon stat more, I could add in another surge. Basically, you're getting close to 100% damage increase on arc and stasis weapons, which is just crazy to think about. And that's because of the changes of Mask of Bacchus that we got, that you're able to dodge and do what I'm doing. But basically, while you have a stasis super equipped, your dodge becomes a long range, faster moving shift that partially closes you during use. After shifting, your stasis and arc weapons gain a stacking damage bonus for a short time. This is 10 seconds, and every time you dodge, it goes up to 3 stacks, right? So if you do this 3 times in a row, you get 3 stacks of light shift. Final blows with this bonus active refund class ability energy. So very simple to do. You only need 2 kills. If you are at 70 class stat, 2 kills would refund your dodge. I actually am up to 138 class. I actually really like this because I'm getting a 15 overshield health. As you can see on the top of my screen, it gives me about a quarter of that bar as overshield health. And surprisingly enough, I actually felt it as survivability in endgame content. And I do take all my builds into harder content just to test them and make sure they're good. And it worked very well. You don't need this, right? But I would get at least 70 class ability. So push your weapon stat up and get about 70 class ability and you'll be running great. Now, if you do hit 100 class ability, which is another goal I would try to do, and you pair this with the fragment Facet of Hope, while you have an elemental buff, your class ability recharges more quickly. Or this counts as frost armor, which we have up all the time. We're also going to be having radiant up quite often and invisibility up quite often. So we're proccing this 3 different ways, but frost armor is the main one because we have a 10-second timer on our left-hand side for frost armor. And with Facet of Hope, even if you don't get a single kill after you dodge, as soon as light shift goes away, after that damage bonus goes away, your dodge starts recharging. And if you have frost armor, you will get your dodge back in 10 seconds. So regardless of getting a kill or not, your dodge comes back in 10 seconds. If you get 1 kill, you get about 70% of your dodge. If you get 2 kills, your dodge refunds instantly. Essentially, even if you're not the best at gameplay, you're still getting your dodge back very, very quickly. Let's take a look at the subclass too. So Silence and Squall, we need this to make Mask of Baccaris work. We'll take Gambler's Dodge to refund our melee when we're dodging. We get half our melee back every time we dodge. As you can see, we dodge so often that you're gonna have basically unlimited melees even without building into that melee stat. You can choose the melee of your choice. I like Withering Blade. You could also take Threaded Spike here. That would be great. You could run whatever grenade you want. I still like Dustfield Grenade. I think it's really good. If you want to zip around the maps too, you could be using Grapple if you want. For aspects, the one lock-in is Threaded Spectre. After activating that class ability, you leave that clone behind. This is so huge for survivability because since we're activating it so often, basically makes you invisible on the radar as you're shooting enemies and doing your normal gameplay loop because they're all focused on those clones. For your next aspect, it's kind of up to you here. I went with Stylus Executioner. It's just another layer of survivability. You could take Winter's Shroud here, so dodging slows enemies. That's at both points of Mask of Baccaris, which is really nice. You could also take Gunpowder Gamble. All the kills you're getting now build towards Gunpowder Gamble, so you could be throwing these out left and right as you move across the field, which would be pretty cool. But I'm just mainly aiming for my weapons and survivability, so I'm good with these two. For fragments, we'll take Facet of Ruin. It increases the damage and the size of Shattering, which plays into both my abilities, it plays into my super, and then it also plays into our Graviton weapon, right? Graviton Spike on the stasis side of it. We'll take Facet of Purpose. This just gives you that frost armor, which is really important. It's your survivability, it's damage reduction. It plays into Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates more quickly. So that's when you don't get a kill, you'll get your dodge back in 10 seconds. We'll also take Facet of Dawn. Powered melee attacks make you radiant. It's just extra damage on top of everything else I went over, right? I said we were around, I think 80% damage buff, right, on our weapon. Well, this just puts it up to basically 100. So make sure you're throwing in those shurikens here and there while you're in your gameplay loop. And then we'll take Facet of Protection. Again, another damage reduction while you're near enemies, which we always are. So we're gaining frost armor damage reduction. We're gaining Facet of Protection damage reduction. We're gaining survivability from Stylus Executioner, survivability from Strand Clones. Every time we dodge, we're adding that health overshield to us. We're picking up orbs every time we dodge, and we have a mod where we get extra health, right? And then we just scoop up those orbs from Powerful Attraction. Now, speaking of mods, let's go through these. On the helmet, I have a Dynamo, so when you dodge near enemies, you get extra super energy coming back. You could trade this out for heavy ammo finders, whatever you really want here. We'll also take an Arc Siphon and a Stasis Siphon. Both of these just play into the weapon that we're using to spawn those orbs of power so frequently because our weapon hits so hard. On our gauntlets, we'll take a heavy-handed, again, spawning orbs of power when our shurikens kill something. Focusing Strike, which would grant that class ability energy when you cause damage with a powered melee attack. This one really isn't needed, you could trade this out as well. And then I do like Impact Induction, causing damage with a powered melee attack reduces your grenade cooldown. This just plays into getting our grenade back, and we always have those melees available. On the chest piece, it's just your damage reduction, so match whatever activity you're doing. On the boots, we went over the arc weapon surges, right? 17%. We'll also take a recuperation, replenish health each time we pick up an orb of power. This did get nerfed, I think it's only 15 health now now, right? But it does help. On our class item, we'll take Powerful Attraction. We just scoop up those orbs automatically when we dodge. We don't have to go pick them up. We'll take a Reaper mod. So every 10 seconds, we can spawn an extra orb of power. You could trade this out for time dilation if you want to make your armor charges last longer. And then also a bomber. Every time you dodge, you're getting your grenade back, and we dodge so often. As far as artifact mods go, really nothing crazy in here. You could throw on Shield Crush. While you have Frost Armor, your melee recharges faster and deals increased damage. Great. Our shurikens aren't the mainstay of this, so, you know, doesn't really matter. And then when you have Radiant, your grenade recharges faster and deals more damage. Again, this build doesn't rely on anything crazy from the artifact. This is what I was running. You could slot in a couple other things, like while you have Frost Armor, taking critical damage releases a burst of freezing nearby combatants. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I kind of went through it the old style way, just step by step on my character, so you guys could see that. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your day.